What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We are back here once again, and you already know what time it is. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we have a spicy meatball for you today. But let's get all of the formalities out of the way first before we dive right in to this very, very interesting, very, very telling Brad Holmes press conference. And of course, we've got an update. I'm so glad I didn't do those videos yesterday. I am so glad I didn't do those videos yesterday because I would have been doing them for no goddamn reason. But anyway, when you see me, front of TV, one thing is for certain, three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. Who wants static? Nobody. Number three, and perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. Make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. You may be asking yourself, how, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very easy. It's very simple. I'll let you know. I don't keep information from my people. Smash like button, subscribe, share, which peoples. And once you do that, you have kept your Lions news pragmatic. It doesn't matter the order. And speaking of your peoples, once you've shared this stream with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, sisters, brothers, fathers, sisters, cousins, you name it. You name it. You have indeed cared about those people. Now, what is up to everybody in the chat? What is up to Pierce Sargent? I know you guys are fired up. You are ready to get this thing rolling. Brad Holmes came to the press conference today in a way that I didn't believe he would. He came with his hat in his hands. He came offering apologies, talking about how he messed up, this, that, and the third thing. Now, I'm not going to say that there was really anything that I liked in particular with this press conference. So I'm going to break it up in two categories. Things that I was okay with and things that I wasn't okay with. Because it wasn't all bad. And it wasn't all good. We good, right? But there were some things that I want to first get out of the way. You say, I'm with Derek. We know by the end of the next season, then I'm done. Facts. We stopped Grays and Melvin. It's not us, man. It's not us. It's the in Brad we trust crowd. Bro, what up, though? I need a drink after the press conference. All right. Let's start off with the good things or the things that I'm okay with. The things that I was okay with, I actually did like this. I like that he had been humbled because we had been saying that this man needs some humble pie. He needs someone to take a slice out, and he takes the whole rest of the damn thing. So I didn't see much snarkiness. There were no receipts. There were no victory laps. He was very cordial with the media. He wasn't incendiary. He wasn't firing shots back at people. Even when you could tell that he wanted to fire shots back, or in another situation last year, he would have fired shots. For example, when he was asked about doing more or being more aggressive, and he's like, because he was like, somebody called me at the trade deadline and said, did you talk to anyone? And he said, well, I didn't want to say that I was offended, but I just was like, okay. So then, but the rest of his response I didn't like, when he's like, well, no one asked me, because it was just something on the NFL calendar that had a title to it. And I understand how some of you felt like that was gaslighting, But he's like, you didn't ask me, did I talk to anyone in early November or October or blah 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 blah. And it's like, here's my problem with that situation. If you talk to someone in April, cool. That's fine. That you talk to someone in April. But you talk to someone in April. You didn't get the desired results from that talk. And there was a lot of that. We're going to get to that as well. You didn't get the desired results from that talk, and you still decided to give up 3 third-round picks for Isaac Tesla. So you're calling about an offensive lineman. You want to make a trade. You call it. You're meeting with people's agents. You want to sign somebody in free agency, and you don't get that offensive lineman. And then you go into the draft, and then you draft Tate Ratledge, and that's it. And that's the second round. Because for whatever reason, you drafted Tyleik Williams the first round instead of an offensive lineman. If you were going to get an oh hell no state player, maybe you should have got, what was the dude's name? Josh Simmons, or the lineman that went to the Chiefs? Maybe that's the oh hell no state player you should have gotten. But you had all these talks with people throughout the year and still felt that drafting Isaac Tesla was the thing to do. And I guess I'm going to be really disjointed in this, because I'm not just going to go over the whole thing with you and, make clips and all that other stuff. But with the Tesla situation, and we're falling into things that I didn't like again. With the Tesla situation, they asked him about it. And he said, basically, when you make a move like that, you have to be at peace with the fact that you're just not going to have those picks. The bigger question for me is, why are you at peace with that? That's the bigger question for me. Why are you at peace with selecting that player in the third round and having to use 2 of your third round picks to move up and 1 of your third round picks to select them? Why were you okay? Why were you at peace? That's the question that I feel like someone should have asked him after he said. It should have been a follow-up question. Well, why are you at peace with drafting Broderick Martin? Why are you at peace with drafting Manu? Why are you at peace with drafting Hendon Hooker? Why are you at peace with drafting Isaac Tesla? You may be happy that he had the good, decent development or whatever the case may be. Luxury picks. These are luxury picks. These are not picks that you can afford to trick off. That's what you thought you could do, and it was a luxury pick. You thought you were in a position to make a luxury pick. Why did you feel that you were in that position? Did you feel that Tate Ratledge? Here's the other thing, because I'm gonna stay in the same area, right? We're talking about the draft right now. When asked about Frank Ragnow, there were breadcrumbs, is what he said. The guy that you got, and you said Tate Ratledge, basically, if you don't feel that he's the guy, you're going to have to go out and do something else. So there were breadcrumbs throughout the offseason. But your idea was to take Tate Ratledge and turn him into a center. And you didn't actually get to turn him into a center. Now, whether you're going to turn him into a center this offseason or not, which I hope you don't, you didn't address it because you didn't get a center. You drafted a right guard in the second round. Instead of going, yeah, there are breadcrumbs about Frank Ragnow retiring. He has 3 toes. His foot is inoperable. He's had this. He had a torn pec that he missed 3 games, or did he miss 3 games? I think he missed 3 games with the torn pec, and came back, and then he missed games down the stretch with something else. Why not get a first round center and say, well, if Frank retires, we got our replacement. If Frank doesn't retire, he can sit behind him and learn. Why not? Because when the Eagles knew that Jason Kelce was going to retire, they allowed him to basically pick his replacement. And Cam Jurgens played under him for a year, behind him. Pause and pause. But we didn't have that foresight, and we went out there and were at peace with giving up 3 third-round picks for Isaac Tesla. Another thing that he said in that at peace statement was this. You have to be at peace with the fact that you're not going to have those picks. You're not going to have those picks at the trade deadline. Again, why are you comfortable not having at least 2 third-round picks at the trade deadline? Because if you made a selection in the 3rd round, which is what, people have picks in a round, they generally make a selection unless they trade out. And at this point, if you really want to be honest, at this point, Brad Holmes, other than Kirby Joseph, and again, if you want to say Lee McNeil, should have just traded out of the 3rd round, accumulated 3rd-round picks, and then used them in trades at the trade deadline. But you were okay with that. The question again is, why were you okay that you would not have 3rd-round picks at the trade deadline that you could play with? And why were you okay drafting a receiver in that situation? I don't know. Let me get to some of your comments. Says Don, I do have to take issue with that. Did he offer apologies? Yes. But did he also say same process with D-line? Yes. Did he all but say trading Monty? Yes. I'm going to get to all that. I'm saying I took no issue with his demeanor for most of the thing. That's all I'm saying. The fine aggressive really pissed me off. Sheila, please bring the heat. It's nothing more to see. If we want a Super Bowl, then we do the things now to get one. Enough of the should have, could have, would have. Well, so there was a discussion with Sheila Ford Ham when he was talking about it, and he was like, I don't sleep at night because of this, and she knows that. When he did that little uncomfortable laugh, I was like, oh, okay, this man is lobbying for his job. Right? And Derek talked about body language and all this stuff. But as I was watching it, that laugh was the first. Well, actually, no, it was kind of the second one. The second tip off for me that he was fighting for his job. Yeah, we've had conversations with Sheila. Again, we're going to keep those details private. Weird. I know you're not going to divulge the information, but the word private was an interesting choice of words. We're going to keep those private. We're not going to get into what was said. That type of thing is like, yes, she must have lit a fire under that ass. And she must have let you know what it was, but she did it in private. So you're not going to bring it to the light. Right? It seemed very, I was given an ultimatum-ish. Right? It seemed very much like that. So I do believe that Sheila has already brought the heat in the conversation that they had. His arrogance is bliss. You can hate me now, McKenzie, but I won't stop now, McKenzie. He's another missed playoffs from getting fired. Again, I didn't detect too much arrogance in this press conference. We talking about the press conference? Yes. He's been arrogant in the past. Yes. Was he arrogant today? Not really. And that thing that with Sheila, what I just talked about, is why I believe that he wasn't. He had that humble pie. He ate some. Somebody took a slice and he ate the whole thing. Brad threw Frank under the bus with his answer, inoperative toe 2 to 3 years ago. I don't know that he threw Frank under the bus because he said that there were breadcrumbs. So if you say that, man, I didn't know nothing until after the draft. He told me he was finna come back. That's the last thing I heard from him. And then after the draft, he goes to the Players Tribune or wherever the hell it was, and he gonna, announce his retirement. I was like, whoa, Jack. You know what I'm saying? That's throwing him under the bus. You saying that there were breadcrumbs and there were inklings, there were like hints. That means you didn't do a good enough job. That means you didn't do a good enough job. There were breadcrumbs. I felt like he was gonna. What does that statement mean? There were breadcrumbs. Remember when they used to go somewhere and didn't want to get lost? So they made a trail of breadcrumbs so that they could follow it to get back to their original location, right? So basically, he was saying there was a trail which led to retirement. And if there was a trail that led to retirement very early on in that trail, you should have done something to address it. Where are these breadcrumbs? Who left these breadcrumbs on the floor? Somebody go get me a broom. I got to clean this up. I got to make a trade. I got to do something in the draft. I got to do something in free agency. Because these breadcrumbs is making the floor dirty. You see what I'm saying? So if you say that someone put something out there and they gave you clues and hints and you failed to pick up on it, that's your fault. That's not the other person's fault. After the draft, 2 years late on addressing critical position, again, he said there were breadcrumbs. So that is his fault. It's he didn't lie to you when he said he knew definitively after the draft, but he said there were breadcrumbs. Again, he implicated himself by saying that there were breadcrumbs. he didn't do a good enough job. He didn't sweep up the crumbs when he saw him. He started okay, then said we ain't making a splash move. Okay, I'll break that one down too. He said that a lot of the moves, again, and I'm not defending Brad here, okay? I just don't want people going off the deep end. Because right now we're all angry with Brad. And you know I'm the objective guy, right? So we're all angry with Brad and we all want him fired and we just want him out of town and blah 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 blah. But what he said was a lot of the moves that we make probably aren't going to come with a headline. How many moves do you think the Lions need to make that will come with a headline? I'm asking you guys. How many moves do you think that the Lions need to make that will come with a headline? I say 2 on the offensive line and at least 1 on the defensive line. What's a big splash? He said that we need to address urgently the offensive line. And he said that we will do that through free agency, the draft, or trade, or whatever. He hit the trifecta of the ways that you acquire players. So what I would say is, hey, there only needs to be about 3 headline moves. And the only splash that we need to make is getting Tyler Lindenbaum in here. That's the only splash. And this is why I wanted Jackson Powers Johnson in the draft. He could have been had in the first round, I believe. He can play guard for a year or 2, then take over for Frank. Facts. Perhaps he felt Sheila's behind his left shoulder, having to be slightly humble. I guess. Cool, got it now. We have a GM that can't follow the yellow brick road. Yes. Again, that's his fault. It's not Frank's. Headline moves 2 total. Okay, there you go. I said 3, you said 2. Facts. Center and edge in free agency. The only edge in free agency is Trey Hendrickson. And to be honest with you, if we got Tyler Lindenbaum in free agency, and then so if we got Tyler Lindenbaum in free agency, we moved Penei Sewell to left tackle to replace Taylor Decker. And then we went back into free agency and got a decent veteran right tackle. He doesn't have to be a world beater because you got Tyler Lindenbaum in the middle anchoring your offense, who's going to make the rest of the offensive line better. Then you get a good veteran, right? Good. He's good. He doesn't have to be a superstar, a stud. He's good, right? He can open the holes for the running game. He can protect the passer. You get that guy, right tackle. Why do I say right tackle? Because right tackles don't make as much money. Right tackles are easier to get than left tackles. Teams that have left tackles don't often let them get to free agency. So you go ahead and get you a right tackle. And then in the first round of the draft, you have more flexibility where you could draft an edge rusher or you could draft another guard left guard, use a first round pick on a lineman. You know what I mean? So I think if you make those two free agency moves, a center and a right tackle, you give yourself a lot more flexibility in the draft. Okay. And that reminds me, I shall be right back. Give me 1 second. All righty. Do you think drafting a tackle in the first is headline? I don't think so. I don't think that the headlines really. When he's talking about headlines, we're not talking about the draft. I mean, it'll make a headline, but it's free, right? It's free. Drafting Panay Sewell was free. He was there, right? So is it considered a big splash move? No, you got a really good player, but you're supposed to try to get really good players in the draft. So while it's newsworthy, I feel like headline moves was more like what people would say big splash, and that's more like trades and free agency. I don't think drafting is a headline move unless you do something really stupid, like to draft a punter in the first round. Like that's, you feel me? Does that make sense? Regardless of how that sounds. JPJ could have been had in the second after break straw. Oh, well, damn. That's crazy. What up, though, Tactical Sport? Um, so I think that's what we're saying. Like the headline moves, the big splashes, big splash. I'll take one, right? And that'll be Tyler Lindenbaum. Because speaking of Frank Ragnow, there is no coming back for Frank Ragnow. According to Brad Holmes, the players may have kept in contact with him, but there is no contact between him and the brass. Right? So whatever he's going to do is what he's going to do, but they are moving forward as though he will not be on the team. And honestly, that's what they should have done last year. Outside the box question, if we have another losing season like this one, who needs to go, Brad or Dan? I think that question can't be answered just yet because we have to see what happens throughout the offseason. Did you address the offensive line? Did you address the defensive line? Did you fill the holes? Like, if we're confident in this roster, right? Like, let's say there's a bizarro world where we're confident that Brad Holmes did everything in his power to reshape this or to fill the holes of this roster. And then with all this talent, and we've got this revamped and rebuilt offensive line, and we hire Mike McDaniel. It's coming. And we hire Mike McDaniel. And all of this happens. And we lose. We have a losing, we not a losing season, but we have a season where we don't make the playoffs again. Then you have to start looking at coaching. Then you have to say this is Dan's fault. Because you've addressed about the like I said, my plan, my free agency plan, or my offseason plan would be to get Tyler Lindenbaum, to get it to move Panay Sewell to left tackle, to sign a good veteran right tackle, And then in your draft, you can do either a left guard in the first round or an edge rusher in the first round. I think you need to get both. I would say that I would like to see a first round offensive lineman, but if you get an edge rusher in the first round, I'm definitely happy about that because we definitely haven't done that since Hutch. But then we also haven't gotten an offensive lineman in the first round since Penei Sewell, so it's actually been longer because Penei Sewell was picked before Hutch. So I'm on the fence with that. And then after that, you got to try to get back into the third round so you can get yourself a safety. You know what I mean? Like you've got to get a safety. You've got to get, another corner. You got to be able to find your Kamari Lassiter. You know what I mean? Like you got to find your diamond in the rough from somewhere in that secondary. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, man, that hasn't gone the right way because again, I will point to the third round and I will ask you how many picks. Okay. And then we still have to look at certain things like Carlton Davis. That was a third round pick who you wasted. You threw the third round pick away again because you didn't retain him. It was a 1-year rental. And because you didn't win the Super Bowl in that 1 year where you went 15-2, you failed on that third round pick. Because a third round pick would be under contract for what? 4 years? 3-4 years? You got a 1-year rental. So that third round is a large reason why the Detroit Lions roster is currently full of holes. It's Swiss cheese right now. Because you couldn't bring yourself to do something useful with those picks. I don't care if you never make a pick in the third round other than Kirby Joseph. If all you do is trade out of the third round, you trade back, people give you third round picks to get up into the third round or whatever, right? You just stockpile third round picks and just use them in trades. That would be awesome. But what you did was Broderick Martin, Hendon Hooker, Manu, Isaac Tesla, dumb stuff. I'm sure that answers your question, right? So my wrap up of Melvin's presser, all I hear is criticize, criticize, criticize. I'm trying to be objective. There were some things that I wasn't completely upset with. Other than an elite OC, we only need 3 or 4 key pieces to get to bowl contention. And yes, I agree, the big splash needs to be at center. If you say 3 or 4 key pieces, if you say 3, all 3 of them need to be on the offensive line. We've got who we know, Penei Sewell. We've got Tate Ratledge, who looks good. That's it. That's it. Christian Mahogany, maybe. Miles Frazier, maybe. Graham Glasgow ain't it. Taylor Decker's retiring. What are we talking about? We've got 2 offensive linemen. One of them is a guaranteed surefire. The other one we think. So I think we would say we need more than 3 or 4, because the 3 or 4 would be 3 offensive linemen and 1 edge rusher. What are we going to do in the secondary? And again, if you got a dominant defensive tackle next to Aleem McNeil, like a sexy Dexy, if you got a dominant guy in there, and then you got a above average edge rusher, a competent edge rusher on the other side of Hutch, not a guy that's winning, getting sacks because people are scrambling into him. Not a guy that's getting a bunch of sacks because the play broke down and he just kept being high motor. Not a guy who was drafted in the 6th round who never played a snap and people were giving him nicknames. And it was cute because he had a viral moment. He said he would die on the field. Well, you can't die if you don't live. He never lived on the field, so how could he die on it? That's all I'm saying. So I think we need more than 3 or 4 key pieces. I think we have a few more holes in that. I want to hear Sheila speak at this point. Oh, we heard Sheila speak. If y'all, and I don't even, she don't even have to tell me she wants a Super Bowl. I can't sleep at night, and she knows that. Sheila, you know I can't sleep at night, right? Come on, baby. Don't do me like this, Sheila. Come on, baby. You know I can't sleep at night. Sheila, come on, don't do me like this, girl. I only think of you on 2 occasions. That's day and night. Hashtag if you know, you know. Use the hashtag. There was little to no accountability. There was some accountability. Come on now. Come on. Again, I'm not being soft on Brad. Pause. Right? But I'm just trying to be objective. But at the end of the day, talk is cheap, monkey facey. You gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? Didn't the team at the trade deadline get an OL for a 3rd round pick that Brad wishes he would have had 1/3? I don't think that was at the trade deadline. So Jalen, is it Jalen or Jaden Phillips went to the Eagles for a 3rd rounder. So he's an edge rusher. And before this season, in the offseason, the Bears got Joe Tooney for a 3rd rounder. This is the problem. This is the problem with the 3rd round picks. Because, again, I don't understand how he was at peace with not having these picks when you can do so much with a 3rd round pick. There are the vast majority of trades, guys, and you just have to think back to how much football you've watched and how many trades you've witnessed. The vast majority of trades, no matter the magnitude of the player, do not include 1st round picks. The vast majority. You have to have a player like Myles Garrett. You have to have a player like Max Crosby. The Bengals thought they had a player in Trey Hendrickson that they could get a 1st round pick for. It's got to be the elite of the elite for you to get a 1st round pick back for a player. Understanding that, knowing that, being a general manager in the NFL and not being able to process the fact that you need your 3rd round picks is crazy. It's crazy. You have to be comfortable, at peace, he said, with the fact that you're not going to have those picks. They're gone. Not going to have them at the trade deadline. What? Why are you at peace with that? And that's the question I want answered. Why are you at peace? You're right. Let's go with 5, but CB can't be expended in top 3 rounds. What we need, I'll tell you what I would do. Since we don't have a 3rd round pick, trade DJ Reed for a 3rd round pick on draft night and get a corner in the 3rd round. It would be a miracle if you could get a 3rd round pick for DJ Reed. Trade him for a 4th and a 5th and package that 4th and a 5th with your like current 4th and 5th and move up into the 3rd round and grab somebody. Because that's, if you traded DJ Reed, you probably, maybe, I think the maximum would be the 4th round pick that you could get for him. What up, though, Jody? All right. Mike McDaniel. I did not see that coming. Yesterday, we had a discussion about the Detroit Lions offensive coordinators, guys that I thought that would be intriguing. Mike McDaniel has been, y'all know, for those of y'all that have been with me for the year, y'all know I was on the Mike McDaniel train very early. Pause. Like, early in the season, I fire him, Dolphins, so that he can come on over to Detroit. Early in the season, before Dan Campbell took over play calling for Johnny Morton, I've been, hey, Dolphins, release that man, let him go so he can come on over to my place. Won't you come on and go with me, Mike McDaniel? Come on over to my place. You know what I'm saying? I've been on that really early. And then the Dolphins didn't fire him. They let him play out the string. And then they not only let him play out the string, they fired the general manager when they should have fired Mike McDaniel at the same time. But they kept Mike McDaniel. And then just yesterday, a report came out that said Mike McDaniel would be he would be assisting with the GM search. He was talking about he's not going to close the door on keeping Tua, but obviously there would have to be some conversations. He was a man comfortable in his job, and I want to ask the chat because I didn't have a chance to research this. What happened? What happened between yesterday and today? Yesterday, he was talking about the future of the quarterback position for the team that he was the head coach of. Yesterday, it was said that he would come out and help with the search for the new GM. Today, he's unemployed. What happened? Does anybody know the story? If you know the story, put it in the chat. Even still, the Detroit Lions wasted no time, and they reached out to Mike McDaniel. They want to interview Mike McDaniel. Damn that. I don't want to see Mike McDaniel getting an interview. I don't want to see a headline that says Mike McDaniel just interviewed for the vacant offensive coordinator position. I'm off that. Forget that. I don't want Mike McDaniel anywhere near an interview. Here is the conversation. Oh, Mike. Yeah, how you doing, Mike? This is Brad. How much money you want? That's it. That's the conversation. Done. Yeah. I don't want no interviews. We don't need to interview this man. Call him, offer him money. Hey, man. Mike, yeah, we just want to talk to you and your agent. We just want to, what's the ballpark right now? You tell me on the phone right now. I'll go clear it with Sheila. There's no, listen, Dan's on board, everybody's on board. Just get how much do you want? Obviously, we'd love to have you as the next offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. What's the what do you want? That's it, man. Anybody else is looking for and I don't give it. Bye, David Blau. You know what I'm saying? Any other candidates that you had, put them on standby. Like, okay, on standby, like we about to cancel these dudes. We listen. Yeah. Oh, such and such. Yeah, let me call you back. Let me call you right back. Let me call you back. Yeah. Just stay on the line. Stay on the line. I'm gonna call you back. It's wild. You heard the same thing we've been hearing? There was a lot of stuff in there that didn't give me any confidence. I didn't walk away from the press conference with any confidence that things would be better. I know he said when he was asked about, hey, Dan Campbell gave himself an F, what would you do? A freaking F, what would you say? He said, well, whatever failure is. Again, we're the season's not over. There's still football to be played, and we're not playing football anymore. That's a failure. I failed, blah, 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 blah. He did say that. But again, the approach that I'm taking with Brad Holmes is wait and see. I'm not like whatever he says, again, because he's been this way for 5 years. He's been thinking the way he's been doing it is the right way. I don't know what he learned. I don't know. Right? Because he alluded to drafting a guy he didn't answer the question about the project picks because he said that he would still like draft developmental players. That's not what we're saying, Brad, because you alluded to Ahmed Hassanin, who you drafted in the 6th round. The person should have been more direct and said, will you be tricking off these 3rd round picks in the future? Will you be going to the strip club with a wallet full of 3rd round picks, making it rain? Will you pull up? Will you pull up on the corner of Schoolcraft and 7 Mile and talk to a lady of the night and be like, how many 3rd round picks? Will you be doing that, Brad Holmes? That's what needed to be said. That's what needed to be asked. Because you can dance around, oh, yeah, we'll still get developmental players, and nobody cares. No one cares. If you want to draft a developmental player in the 6th round, be my guest. If you want to draft a developmental player in the 7th round, be my guest. Because the 6th and 7th round players are special teamers at best, for the most part. You don't expect them to play. No one expected Tom Brady to be the GOAT. That's why he got drafted in the 6th round. Turned out to be the GOAT. Huge success story. One of the greatest success stories of all time. Not the norm. 6th and 7th round picks are not guys that you expect to make your roster. So they can be as developmental as you want them to be. The problem is not developmental players, Brad. It's when you take these projects. I don't care. I'd be happy for you to draft Broderick Martin in the 7th round. I'd be happy for you to draft Manu in the 7th round. I'd be happy for you to draft Hendon Hooker in the 7th round. I wouldn't care. Oh, that 7th round pick didn't. You know who didn't work out? What was that dude's name? Green, the receiver? Antoine Green. Everybody wanted to see him work out because he was fast. But nobody cares. He was drafted in the 6th, 7th round. We don't actually care. No one's mad unless you're crazy. Brad really wasted a 7th round pick on the receiver. Who cares? This is a 7th round pick. You go grab that lady of the night and take her to Motel 6 and use all the 7th round picks you want. You go to the strip club and you make it rain 7th round picks. God, hey, they get all the 7th round pick talent up in here. Make it rain, baby. I don't care. It's the 7th round. So, yes. What up, though, Mr. Detroit City? I hope you're not getting fresh with Sheila. Only kidding. I like Mike. If Mike is an OC anywhere besides Detroit, it's a failure. Facts. Pay Mike M. He's salivating at the weapons we have. Facts. You know what I'm saying? He's like, Jameer Gibbs. Oh my God, man. Amon Ross St. Route. Jameson Williams. Oh my God, man. Maybe David Montgomery. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe David Montgomery. I don't know. Yeah. It really sounds like Demo is on the chopping block. I don't like it. Having them both extends their viability and longevity, but one is better in a certain situation than the other, and vice versa. Listen, if you get Mike McDaniel very soon, and then you have a sit down with David Montgomery, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, all's forgiven." Because I know Mike runs the hell out of the football, and Mike uses a platoon of backs just like they do in San Francisco, because he came from the Shanahan tree. They got Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon, and somebody else. They had Raheem Mostert. They had like 3 backs that they would use. So yes, go ahead, get him. I saw a Lions fan here on YouTube who brought up the Mike idea too. Then 97.1 stole their idea. Is it a stealing of an idea if you say, hey, we should sign coach that's available? I don't know if that's a stealing of an idea. He must have been walking into the building and said, I've got the perfect candidate for GM, me. Then they said, get out. I don't know what happened. He also got to change some things and said, I'm not changing anything in the same breath. He also said, we got, okay, yeah. That's why I said I'm taking a wait and see approach with Melvin. You know what I mean? It's whatever you want to say that you're going to do or you're not going to do. At the end of the day, watch how he walked off at the end of that press conference with his head down, looking dejected, looking like, what I'm going to do, I need to keep this job. Okay? So if you got that, if you understood that, if you read between the lines, if you read the body language, if you read that awkward laugh, I don't sleep at night. She knows that. Sheila knows that. Don't you, Sheila? Sheila, I'm trying, baby. You gotta believe me. Please believe me, Sheila. You know what I'm saying? That's it. He was 2 seconds for some tears, bro. He said, "Sheila, you got to know, baby, I can't sleep at night. I got the insomnia, baby. When it's time to go to sleep at night, I can't. I can't." You know what I'm saying? 3:11, and I'm stressing, watching TV in my hotel suite. 3:11 in the morning. 3:11. That's not a normal time to be awake. 3:11, and he's stressing, watching TV in his hotel suite. Why is he watching TV? He should be asleep. He wants Sheila to know, can't sleep. Can't sleep at night. He can't. Didn't we just sign an injured center from Oh Hell No? Brad's MO staying the same. If we sign anybody just recently, it's a futures deal, so that doesn't make any difference. We just signed Ahmed Hassanin to a futures deal. We just signed Malik Cunningham to a futures deal and wouldn't use Malik Cunningham. Malik Cunningham got one game as a mobile quarterback to run the Wildcat something. Like we didn't expand upon that at all, and then they signed him again. You know, there's something, but why is he number 80? They want him to be a wide receiver. Well, you signed him, and the only snap he got was at quarterback, so he needs to change his number. It should be illegal to split Sonic and Knuckles. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Free Monty, let him go. Be in a relationship where he is truly valued, he deserves it. Me too. Johnny Moe was gone weeks ago, LOL. He was gone. And that's what I said. The Dolphins should fire Mike McDaniel and let him be free. Let him go to the Detroit Lions. Now it could happen. Again, the conversation when they've reached out to him. I don't know what that reach out was, but the conversation should have been, "Hey, Mike, this is Brad Holmes from the Detroit Lions. Yeah, how you doing, bro? Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing. Listen, we're gonna cut all the crap. How much money do you want?" You know what I'm saying? That's it. How much money do you want? We ain't got nothing else. But anyway, here we go. Mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Cynics, niggas, mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. All right, get your mailbag questions in. I'll take a few, and then I gotta get up off here because I got things to do. But Mike McDaniel is somehow available. The Detroit Lions did not sit on their hands and say, "Yeah, we're good. We interviewed David Blau. We're good." No. As soon as that man got fired and news got out, the Detroit Lions picked up that phone. Said, "Pick up the phone, baby." And speaking of which, what I heard from Brad Holmes at that press conference was there's a lot of we tried, but it's not public knowledge of what we tried to do. The time for that is done, big man. We need to stop with the we tried. We tried to do this. We tried to do that. We tried to do the third thing. I don't care what you tried to do. You got to do it. The time for trying is done. The time for doing is here. Other teams can do it. I don't understand why we have to try so hard and can't never get it done. Right? We tried to get Daniil Hunter twice. Nothing happened. We tried. Okay. I'm just saying. The Houston Texans didn't try to trade up for Will Anderson right after drafting CJ Stroud. They did it. We tried to get James Pierce. Well, how come the Falcons different? Okay, something just happened with my monitor. We tried to draft James Pierce. How come the Falcons traded back into the first round and drafted him? How? How'd they make a pick and then trade back into the first round and pick him before we could? How much trying did we do? Didn't he get picked like one pick before? Weren't we 29th or something? Or 28th? And James Pierce went 27th, something like that. Why? How we I don't know, bro. Absolute best 1-2 punch in the NFL. When 5 is tired, 0 stands up, and vice versa. Hashtag pay them. Well, David Montgomery's already been paid. That's not why the split was it's because David Montgomery wasn't happy, and that's what it was. Preach, bro. The time for trying is done. Facts. Just do shut your mouth, Melvin. Just do shut your mouth, Melvin. We've heard enough. Just do your effing job, buddy. Facts. Mailbag. So next year when we fire Melvin, do you think they fire MCDC as well? Again, I believe that if it's a roster perspective and we just and he didn't give Dan Campbell the pieces to be successful, I think Dan Campbell will get more time. But if it's a coaching situation, I think he gets fired as well. Trying doesn't get us over the hump. Talking about trying is admitting to failure. SMH. Facts. If he keeps backing up Melvin like he's done since day one, always defending him, I'm at the point. F it, sleep in the bed you made. Fair. Or don't sleep, as Melvin puts it. We don't care anymore. Do you think if Brad continues with the same shenanigans that Brad and Dan start to bump heads publicly? I think that's inevitable, man. If you so you don't have any third round picks, right? So if you don't make any trades, you're not going to get any third round picks. So if you go, all right, I'll wait to the fourth round to draft Broderick Martin 2.0. Yeah, that's got to be public because he's publicly hanging you out to dry. So now you got to publicly push back. I understand that it's not part of the culture and all these things, but it'll have to happen. It'll be too egregious. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. The Thursday shows are gonna be like not shows that will go over too much. As I said, got some things to do on Thursday. But once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. Came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic. And we're out. We'll see you tomorrow. Monday through Friday, baby. Peace.